The Ukrainian army has launched a bold operation against a Russian airbase located on the Crimean Peninsula. This operation is of great importance as part of Ukraine's goal to take back Crimea. The Ukrainian army also acted with the support of the pro-Ukrainian local population located in Crimea. The support of the local population for this operation reflected Ukraine's determination to retake the occupied territories. This airbase, one of Russia's military headquarters in Crimea, was an important base for the Russian military's operations in Ukraine. But as a result of the successful operation of the Ukrainians, the Russian army was surprised what to do. This bold move by Ukraine forced the Russian troops to withdraw, and there is no safe space left for Russian troops on the Crimean Peninsula. This situation forced Putin into a corner and began to change the balances in Russia's Ukrainian war. It has become very important for the Ukrainian army to determine new strategies in the face of these unexpected developments. The withdrawal of the Russian army can be considered a victory for Ukraine, but in this case, Ukraine faces the task of ensuring the administration of the recaptured territories and winning the support of the local population. It is also of critical importance for Ukraine to conduct careful diplomacy before stopping Russia's attacks on Ukraine. The support of the international community towards Ukraine will also play a major role in this process. This unusual Ukrainian operation in Crimea shows that Ukraine is one step closer to its goal of retaking Crimea. But for the conflict between Ukraine and Russia to come to an end, more complex factors and deconfliction must be taken into account. In this process, the international community will also need to contribute to the diplomatic solution. Since Crimea was occupied by Russia in 2014, the vast majority of Crimeans living in the region had remained silent against the Russian occupation. However, Ukraine's latest operation was the first time that Crimeans showed a major reaction against the Russian invasion. The Ukrainian army has carried out a major operation to put an end to the Russian occupation of Crimea. At the center of this operation was the capture of a critical airbase controlled by the Russian invaders. This airbase was being used to provide support for the Russian invasion and direct airstrikes. This bold move of Ukraine has become a great source of hope and courage for Crimeans. They began to show more resistance to the Russian occupation. The Ukrainian army has managed to change the balances in Crimea, dealing a major blow to the occupying Russian forces in the region. However, Putin has put into operation a diabolical plan against this move by Ukraine. By announcing a mega mobilization, he began to pursue harsh policies against the Crimeans. These policies have attracted a great reaction in the international arena. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made it clear that the war will not be ended without Russia taking the territory in Crimea. The Ukrainian army has acted decisively to put an end to the Russian occupation. In particular, taking control of this critical airbase had greatly shaken Russia's authority in Crimea. Together with this operation, the great reaction of the Crimeans against the occupying Russian forces in Crimea and the successful operations of the Ukrainian army were enough to shake Russia's empire of fear in Crimea. Now, a greater resistance against the occupying Russians is expected in Crimea. Crimea was of great strategic importance for Ukraine and was occupied by Russia for a long time. The Russian invaders were carrying out airstrikes on Ukrainian territory, using the air base in Crimea and preventing the steps that Ukraine would take. The Ukrainian military has developed a bold strategy to end the activities of this critical airbase and take precautions. First, the Ukrainian army tried to detect shelling activities in the region using Bayraktar UAVs. However, Russia's advanced air defense systems quickly destroyed a large part of these UAVs. Therefore, the decision was made to send a special unit to gather more intelligence and prepare the operation plan. This special unit of Ukraine first of all installed a chip on an aircraft to determine the location of the airbase. This chip played a key role in determining exactly which area the airbase was located in. At this point, the location of the airbase was definitely revealed. After the location of the airbase was determined, the Ukrainian army began mapping the area. This provided the key information on how to organize the operation. However, this operation was not limited to the capture of the airbase only. It was also part of a strategy designed to neutralize the Russian invaders in the region and ensure that Ukraine took control of this strategic region. This bold move by Ukraine was an important step taken to end the activities of the airbase in Crimea and ensure the security of Ukraine. It was time for the Ukrainian army to seize the critical airbase in Crimea. Ukraine has launched a special operation to achieve this important goal and ensure the removal of the Russian invaders from the region. For this operation to be successful, careful planning and coordination of special troops were required. Ukrainian Special Forces troops were deployed for this risky operation. A large amount of ammunition was given to these troops in order to increase the success of the operation and give the soldiers an advantage. The primary goal was to get the Russian warplanes away from the airbase area. For this, Bayraktar UAVs have been activated. Bayraktar UAVs participated in the operation in order to neutralize the Russian aircraft stationed near the airbase. The Bayraktars tried to prevent the departure of Russian warplanes by targeting military headquarters in a nearby area. This was a critical step that will ensure the security of the airbase. The Russian military, however, reacted quickly. Russian fighter jets took off to neutralize the Bayraktar UAVs. Bayraktar operators decided to withdraw immediately in the face of this threat and began to move towards the range of Patriot air defense systems. Ukrainian Special Forces have launched a daring operation to capture the critical airbase in Crimea. For this operation to be successful, they had to act quickly and decisively. The first stage of the operation was to neutralize Russian aircraft at the airbase. Special Forces troops realized that there were no Russian warplanes when they entered the airbase area. They immediately took action and neutralized the airbase personnel. Then, they targeted the ammunition depots of the Russian planes. They blew up the warehouses using C4 explosives they had brought with them. This ensured the destruction of important resources at the Russian airbase. At the same time, the Russian fighter jets following the Bayraktar UAVs got out of this mess and began to withdraw to protect the Ukrainian airbase. After this confusion in the air, Ukrainian Special Forces moved away from the airbase and prepared to activate remote-controlled explosives. When soldiers under the command of Ukrainian Special Forces activated remote-controlled explosives, the critical airbase in Crimea exploded. This explosion caused the airbase to become unusable and caused Russian warplanes to get stuck in the air without a base from which to land. Russian warplanes were faced with a complicated situation as they did not know what Ukraine would do and where they should land. Although they started moving towards the nearest airbase, they could not understand the full extent and intent of this Ukrainian operation. This was a result of Ukraine's bravely carried out operation and was a major strategic loss for Russia. Although Ukraine is a country located in a historically difficult geography, it has achieved great achievements both politically and militarily in recent years. These achievements, while posing a great threat to Russia, have brought Ukraine to the forefront as a regional and global player. Ukraine has become more self-confident in the face of Russia, both politically and militarily. By demonstrating a more resistant and determined stance against Russia's threats, he stressed his determination to protect Ukraine's national security. As a result, Ukraine's political and military achievements have made Ukraine a more effective actor in the international arena, while posing a growing threat to Russia's regional hegemony. These achievements reflect Ukraine's determination to defend its national independence and territorial integrity.